ichinichi issho, which is Japanese, saying I didn't want to be labeled as a kikoku shijo. I went the American style with raising my children. I would always put them at the same time every day.
Why don't we just start with, how did you grow up? Where were you, and what were you like as a kid?
I'm Japanese, and my parents were Japanese, but we moved to Seattle when I was 2 and stayed there for a total of 13 years, and 6.5 years each. And I stayed there until high school graduation. Came back to Japan when I was 16. I graduated a bit early.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yes, I
Why
did.
was that?
Well, my birthday is in mid-September.
I see. Okay.
But my mother, being Japanese, pushed me to enter first grade a little early, a year early, when I was in the States.
Yep.
And then in high school, my mother, being Japanese, did not want me to sit around during the long summer breaks.
Right.
So I took some classes at the University of Washington, which was nearby when we lived in Seattle. And I accumulated enough credits that I was able to graduate in 3 years.
Did you enjoy that as a kid, or were you like, no, I don't want
Well,
to go to
actually, I kind of grew up never questioning what my parents told me.
Oh, really?
Typically Japanese.
Yeah.
So I actually did enjoy going to school in the summer and also doing evening classes at community college and taking 0 period at school. Yes.
Oh, wow. So did you have a subject that you were passionate about, or?
No, my counselor advised me if I took these classes in the evening or during 0 period, I would meet my graduation requirements.
Yeah.
So
you just took whatever it did.
Just did it.
So you came back to Japan for university?
Yes,
right?
because at the same time, my father was being asked to return to Japan.
So it was perfect time.
He did not want me to stay in the States.
Why not?
Because he wanted me to refocus my identity as a Japanese.
Oh, interesting.
Because after living in the States for 13 years, I was becoming more American, losing my Japanese. So I thought, just come back for 4 years. If you really wanted to stay, I could go back for grad school.
Okay. And did you feel that from your perspective when you were growing up? That, who am I? Where am I going at that age?
I really didn't. I was always living in the moment, and everyone around me was American. I went to a public high school in Seattle where there weren't many Asians.
Okay.
And then on Saturdays I would go to the Japanese school.
Oh, okay.
So I found myself having sort of 2 identities. One the weekday American Mayumi, Saturday where I would speak with all my Japanese friends in Japanese.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. I still feel that continues now, depending on what language I'm speaking.
I feel the same. I feel like when I'm speaking English, I'm more open. I do a lot more hand gestures. And when I'm speaking Japanese, I kind of become more proper.
Yes.
So then you came back, and that's where your fitness journey.
Yes. Well, going to university in Japan, it's not really only academics. You can choose to join clubs or do sports, and I always wanted to continue doing some sports. So I ended up joining the varsity ski team, and it's a very competitive sport where you compete for the second, that you're faster than anyone else coming down the hill. So that suited me well. I skied a lot while living in Seattle.
Yep.
So now I was able to turn that into, a sport where I could compete for, the school as well.
When you were younger back in Seattle, did you always know that sports was your thing? Did you always know that you wanted to keep exercising, become stronger, fitter?
Not really. I didn't make it a priority, but it was a part of my life.
After all of the credits that you were getting on the side, when did you have time to exercise?
You know, I would always be involved with sports, track, cross country. When I was little, it was roller skating, cycling. Then on weekends, skiing with the family or friends.
Okay.
So I liked spending my time outdoors. What was a challenge was that at Japanese universities, varsity sports teams are top down.
I see.
Whoever's older than you, a grade older than you, will tell you what to do.
Right.
And there were no questions to be asked.
Yep.
So that was a very new culture for me. I struggled a lot. I did ask a lot of questions.
We've all been there.
But it exposed me to the unique Japanese culture as well.
How do you deal with that kind of culture?
Well, it taught me perseverance, for sure.
Yeah.
It gave me more motivation for skiing because it's an individual sport,
Right,
although
right.
you're on a team. So whoever's the fastest
True.
is the fastest,
there's
regardless of your age.
Right. But did you ever feel that when you are in this very hierarchical culture that you find yourself saying, yeah, but I am Japanese, but I am different, or have other people say, yeah, but you lived abroad, so you're not truly a Japanese, and that's why you're not just coming into this culture and agreeing with it immediately. Have you ever had those kind of experiences?
I think it's a constant state in the back of my mind. I'm always trying to balance myself with the Japanese side of me and growing up in the U.S. Different values, but I try to take the best of each.
Agreed. Yeah.
Then once I became a stay-at-home mom after giving birth to my daughter, you go in for the 1 month checkup, and that's when the doctor says, yes, everything's okay, you can go back to normal life.
Yeah.
First thing I did was go running.
Was it tough?
It wasn't really. And I chose running because that way I did not have to accommodate anybody else's schedule other than the babies.
Right.
So running kept me stay healthy for a few years after that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you just had, you're running.
I would run while she would be napping. Even after my younger two sons were born, I would continue running at night around the palace.
Oh, wow. How long is the palace?
It's 5 kilometers.
5 kilometers.
One loop.
Okay. Yeah. So you've done that. Wow.
Every night, one loop. If I had more time, I would do 2 loops. And then run back home.
Wow, there you go. Because I think one of the biggest things for new mothers is that once you finish and now you have to get back into shape. Lots of people find that a really daunting task, one that they don't have a lot of time for.
Right.
So, did you ever feel that?
Well, in that way, I went the American style with raising my children. I would always put them to nap at the same time every day.
Okay. Yeah.
So they had a schedule, which made it easy for me to know that they would be asleep during a certain time to go out and run.
Oh wow, there you go.
When they were little, my main goal was to make them tired.
So they can go to sleep.
I would exercise for them and myself, but we would take walks during the day twice. We would take them to the park and make sure they're tired enough for their nap.
Yeah.
and then at night as well. So I would have my time to start going to the gym or go running.
So your kids must be really active as well.
They are, yes.
Yeah?
We've exposed them to, cycling. We vacation in Whistler, and they love doing downhill mountain bikes.
You mentioned that they do a lot of activities outdoors. They go to the camp in Maine.
Yes. Since they were younger, all three of the kids would go to an outdoor camp in Maine. It's by a lake, so they can do all the water activities, as well as horseback riding, tennis, soccer, basketball, ceramics, just everything.
The perfect way to stay active in the summer. And
Yep, and no devices are allowed at that camp, so that was good.
there you go.
You know,
That's
at least a month of.
That's really rare to have kids these days not have any
Yes.
devices. Though they are good at, tracking fitness.
Right,
and such.
right.
Do they also do that?
They do. They all have an Apple Watch.
Oh,
so
good.
because I'm into monitoring how active I am, they're now more aware of how many steps they've taken during their day.
Do they have goals towards?
No, they don't.
They're busy as it is.
They're busy. But one bonus is my daughter, who was never so interested in sports.
Yeah.
She's more of a reader.
Yeah.
She actually started swimming.
Oh, really?
So she swims maybe 3 or 4 times a week in the morning
Nice.
before she goes to school.
That's pretty committed for someone who doesn't really like.
For someone who's only
Yeah.
19, but she says she wants to start making a difference for her own health
There
benefit.
you go. That probably comes from
I
mom.
hope so.
When we've talked about, growing up in different cultures or growing up bilingual, how have you brought that into their lives and try to, enrich their lives that way?
Well, luckily, their father is also multilingual. So he'll speak to the children in English while I will speak to them in Japanese. So the kids are bilingual. They go to international schools. For the boys who are still in middle and high school, their second languages are Japanese. But my daughter started learning French since 3rd grade.
Oh, wow. So she must
So
be...
she's fluent.
Wow.
in
so
French.
she's trilingual.
Yes, she is.
Does she plan to study in France or?
She studied in France last year for during the spring,
Oh, great.
and this fall she'll be studying in London for a year
Oh, perfect. On exchange?
on exchange, but she'll be joining the Hebrew and Jewish Studies department at UCL
That's crazy.
because she's interested
Interesting.
in Jewish studies.
Do you know how she got into it?
I think it's because she has a lot of Jewish friends.
Okay, in Japan.
She went to boarding school
Oh.
during her 4 years in high school
Okay.
in the States,
Yep.
on the East Coast. So at that school, she had a lot of Jewish
Interesting.
friends.
Oh,
And
curious.
she spent, weekends with her friends' families as well.
Oh, very nice. Interesting. And you've chosen international schools for all of your children at different times. What were the rationales behind that? And I think they all went to different schools.
They all went to different schools.
as well, right?
So with our daughter, when she was 3, we put her into an all-girls Catholic international school, which had sister schools in New York and London.
Yeah.
Because at the time, we thought we may be relocated.
Okay.
So if she was in that school,
Right.
she could easily transfer abroad. So that's what was based on for her school. We ended up staying in Japan,
Yeah.
and for that reason, we wanted our boys to be fluent with their Japanese peers.
Okay.
So they went to Japanese public schools until 4th grade,
Yep.
and then switched over to international schools. afterwards.
Is there a reason why they all go to different schools?
It depends on their personality.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Interesting. How do you assign schools to their personality?
It would definitely be easier for me if they all went to the same school. But I felt for my daughter, well, first of all, we weren't planning on having two more when she was 3.
Yeah.
So she was an only child then, so she went to a girls' school.
Yeah.
And then came number 2 and number 3, only a year and a half apart. But they were very different.
Yeah.
So we thought that the middle one would be good at an all-boys Catholic.
Oh, really?
So-
Interesting. Yeah.
And then the younger one, definitely a co-ed, American-based education. So that's where he is.
That's so cute.
But because most of their day is spent in English,
Yeah.
I need to focus on their Japanese more at home. So we subscribe to a Japanese newspaper targeted for children.
Yep.
I make sure they read that every day.
Yep.
I continue to speak to them in Japanese, try to expose them to many words that they normally wouldn't use by just speaking to their friends.
Oh, yeah. What do you mean? Like more?
More sophisticated
Suffix,
phrases,
yeah.
Phrases that maybe only adults would use, and kotowaza,
Yeah.
yojijukugo.
Yeah. And that's another question I had for you is when you were growing up in the States, mainly it was English, even though you went to Japanese school. When you came back to University of Keio, I assume most of the classes would be
They were all in Japanese.
right? And how did you adapt, and how did you then get your Japanese level to a place where then you can comfortably go, shushoku, and you find a job?
It was very difficult. The first year I struggled, despite my Saturday Japanese schools in Seattle and keeping up with the appropriate age level Japanese.
Yeah.
And I did read the newspapers in Japanese while in Seattle. But that still didn't prepare me for classes in Japanese,
Right.
for college level Japanese. So I struggled for the first 2 years or so
Right.
with the difficult kanjis.
Yeah.
I studied in economics. So taking notes was a struggle too.
Yeah.
I would try to understand what the professor was saying, but taking notes in English. But some words
Yeah.
had to be in
Yeah,
Japanese.
yeah.
So my mind was always being challenged.
Yeah.
But my friends helped me. I would ask for copies of their notes
Yeah.
to prepare for exams.
That resonates so much with me because when I was on exchange, and I found myself in exactly the same situation where I was listening to the lecture in Japanese, typing notes in English with Japanese dotted here and there, and then things would be everywhere, and then look at my
Right.
notes. I'm like, what is this?
Right.
And then when I try to speak, I know exactly what I want to say, but then I don't know the words in Japanese because
Right.
I wrote the notes down
In English.
and it was a nightmare.
It was
And-
very challenging.
And luckily, I was only there for 1 year, so it was, and one semester after that. So I knew it was short term, and I knew it wouldn't be a big deal until I came to work in Japan, which I had the same experience. But yeah, so did you have any specific ways that you trained yourself to speak more Japanese, to take notes in Japanese?
I actually read a lot
Okay.
because I still remember that the reason why my father wanted me to come back to Japan was so I could redefine my Japanese identity.
Right.
And that was not only to be proficient in Japanese, but also understand the culture
Yeah.
and to be able to read and write in Japanese.
Yeah.
And being a returnee from abroad, a kikoku shijo,
Yeah.
was definitely an advantage, but I didn't want to be labeled as a kikoku shijo. I wanted to be able to say, I'm a Japanese, I can speak and write and converse in Japanese like any other Japanese.
Yeah.
So I really made a conscious effort
Right.
to read and speak proper Japanese.
Yeah.
So my friends from back then know how poor my Japanese was, and they still tease me about it. But now they all know that my Japanese is on par.
Yeah. What's next for Mayumi?
I'm not a very good planner, to be honest. I think I live each day as it comes. So I even struggle with planning for the summer every year. But fitness-wise, I'd like to continue my lifestyle of, an hour or two of working out. It just gives me so much enjoyment.
Yeah.
So that will always be a priority for me.
Yeah.
I'll try to be the fittest I can.
Any tips and tricks for becoming a fitter version of yourself and improving your health overall?
Stay open, be humble, listen or seek advice from all the instructors.
Yep.
I also follow some fitness people on Instagram.
Oh, yeah?
And which has been very helpful and motivating.
Oh, any good names you can share here?
I do. My favorite is Alexia Clark.
Yeah, I've heard of her.
Have you heard of her?
I don't follow her on Instagram,
Okay.
but I probably should.
She's amazing. Not only what she does, but physically just looking at her.
It's motivating.
She's very motivating. I try to give my 100% each time I go, and that comes from my daily motto of 一日一生, which is Japanese saying, meaning live today as if it's your entire life.
Yeah.
So I apply that to, the 1 hour sessions at Orange Theory, or whether it's spinning as well. Give my best.
And have you ever felt that I just want to give up, I'm just tired, I don't want to do it?
Some days I do feel that way, and that's when I tell myself it's okay to feel that way. I don't need to burn myself out, so I let it go on a few occasions and just take it easy.
And do you still go to the sessions?
Oh yes, of course I will go. Because it's so worth it. While you're there, you feel yourself feeling better for coming and showing up. And when you're done, it's amazing.
I agree. Showing up is, once you show up, you realize it's easier than you had in your mind how difficult.
Right. Just make it part of your daily routine.
Yeah. Easier when it's that way, right?
Don't question whether am I going or not. It's just like brushing your teeth. It's the same.
That's so interesting, because that's the two things I hate: brushing my teeth and going to the gym when I really don't feel like it. And I've learned that you just got to do it.
Just accept it.
Just accept for what it is, like you said. You have to do it, and then your whole mentality changes with it. It's just that, okay, it's time to brush my teeth. It's time to go to Orange. And how do you then work nutrition into it? You mentioned, nutrition, supplements, trying to live healthy in general. What are some of the things that you found worked for you?
I think vitamins make a difference.
Yeah.
I used to not take, or at least emphasize taking vitamins or supplements so much. But I did start taking multiple vitamins and supplements last year, and I've noticed a difference when I stopped taking them.
Really?
So now I'm back.
So what are you taking, and what does it do?
Vitamin B, C, D, and E.
Yeah.
As well as CoQ10.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I drink BCAA powder with my water.
Oh, what's BCAA?
They're amino acids.
Oh, okay.
And branched-chained amino acids.
Okay.
That's what it stands for. But it helps recovery.
Oh, okay.
for your muscle tension. A lot of people actually drink it during the workout. You'll notice, they're drinking colored water.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
BCAA or amino acid drinks.
Is it? Okay. Lastly, any advice for young people who are out there trying to find their path, trying to find who they are and better themselves? What are some words of wisdom that you can share with them?
Be open, make new friends,
Yeah.
get out of your comfort zone, try something new.
Yeah.
Listen to your friends. They can always invite you to something new, and that could be your thing. So, yeah, always stay open
Yeah.
and try new things.